Hey, what's up? This is Joe from DED, and you're listening to Thunder Underground.
Welcome to episode 289 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent and Jason here as always. And this week, we've got a cool one. We've got Joe Cotela, the vocalist for the band DED, joining us. Very cool talk with him from 2 or 3 weeks ago. Looking forward to getting this one out for everyone to hear. We've got some music coming up. Maybe something to talk about. We didn't plan ahead, so we'll have to see if we have anything to talk about. Do you?
I got one thing.
Okay, good. But first, as always, we gotta let you know who sponsors this podcast. And that would be MedFarm, a dispensary right here in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. 24683 East Highway 51. They're right off the highway. Follow them on their socials. MedFarm on Facebook, MedFarmOK on Instagram, and their website's medfarmok.com. That's farm with a PHARM. They're always running specials on there. One of their specials that is always running is if you mention Thunder Underground, they'll give you 10% off your first order. You can also call them ahead of time, text them ahead of time, send them a message ahead of time to place your order, and go right through their drive-thru to pick up whatever you ordered, which is very cool. And above all else, their slogan is Cannabis with a Cause, because 30% of their proceeds are going to build no-kill animal shelters, which is a very cool cause, and we're very happy to have them on board. So get over there and support MedFarm. Also, Hella Hot Sauce is a hot sauce company based out of the San Francisco Bay Area. They make small batch artisan hot sauces. You can find all their stuff at HellaHotHotSauce.com. Also follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Hella Hot Sauce. They do collaborations with people like Florida Frank from Hatebreed. They've got a sauce called Florida Frank's Florida Heat. It's an excellent, very hot, but very good sauce. I've also done a collaboration with Ghoul as well called Brain Jerk. You can find all that, like I said, on HellHotHotSauce.com, or if you're on the West Coast, they sell them in stores out there as well. But get on there, buy something, and tell them we sent you. DED Concerts, a promoter based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They brought a ton of great shows to downtown Tulsa, and they also booked the Roadhouse stage at Rocklahoma. They've got shows coming up from John Karabi, October 23rd at the Ideal Ballroom. Karabi will be doing an acoustic show with our good friends in Rocket Science opening up. They will be fully plugged in, and they're a great band to see live. If you have not, they put on a great show. And then, of course, Karabi, the voice of Motley Crue. Just going to leave it at that, not even compound on what I mean. But if you've listened to this podcast more than twice, you probably know our thoughts on John Karabi anyway, and how I believe he is. His initials are JC, just like Jesus Christ, for a reason.
It's not a coincidence, goddammit.
It's not. But yeah, DEBconcerts.com. Find out info about that show, and of course any future shows and any of the shows that get rescheduled, and we'll let you know here as well. Finally, Sunset Tattoo is a tattoo shop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma at 3415 East 15th Street. They're right in the heart of Midtown. If you give them a call or shoot them a text before you head over there, you can set up a time to talk to Jake or someone on his crew about what work you need done. They've got over 25 years of experience. Follow them on Facebook, Sunset Tattoo Tulsa, and Instagram is also at Sunset Tattoo Tulsa. There's a ton of pictures on there. You can check out all their work. It's all fantastic. Their tattoos are done good and proper. They're state licensed, and above all else, they are mother approved. So get a hold of Sunset Tattoo and tell them Thunder Underground sent you. All right. Want to kick this off with some music?
Yes, let's get into it.
Okay. Just jumping right in then. This will, if you're standing up, sit down, or else this might knock you on your ass.
Right.
This is a brand new track from Grave Huffer called Ghost Dance.
Dance, the fire breaks the ghost.
Ghost Dance, the brand new single from Gravehuffer. That's off their forthcoming album, Necro Occlusion, which should be out here soon. We'll let you know, of course, once that's out. You'll probably even hear us talking about the album as a whole because we're both fans of this band. And just like their previous work, Ghost Dance slams. It knocks you on your ass, kind of like I said.
Oh, it's the whole, Joplin Mo, what the fuck?
Joplin Mo, WTF.
It's radical, it's caustic, it's heavy fucking concrete, not heavy metal. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. With the rebar sticking out of it, all gnarly and fucked.
Yeah.
In the best fucking way. We love Gravehuffer. We've had them on the show. It's been a while, but we've played them also. If you're not on the train, now you are.
Yeah, absolutely. That's some heavy stuff, and all their stuff is just like that. So give them a follow on Facebook, and of course, check out their previous music if you have not yet, and look forward to this new album. All right. Before we kind of jump into everything, got to mention we've got episodes coming up. Like we've mentioned previously, Jeff Carlson from the Jeff Carlson Band, Mercedes Lander from the White Swan, and of course Kitty. And then we just finished a couple more that we can announce.
Right. Prolific as hell. You're knocking them down, Trent. I love it.
Hey, you're here with me, so
right.
We're making them happen. We've got Damon Johnson returning for the third time. And that's pretty cool because I think when it comes to like national touring acts or known artists, we've had Battlecross on like 4 times.
Right.
But when it comes to artists that we grew up on or that have been around in our lives since, we were 16 when Brother Kane debuted. This is, I think, the first artist that's been on here more than twice, so.
Yeah, definitely. And it's, and the thing is, you never, we kind of talked about this before, you never want to totally fanboy out, you never want to be a Punisher, but you can't not recognize, we've been into Brother Kane since high school. They were the first band I ever saw at Kane's Ballroom.
Right.
Damon Johnson is one of those guys that we followed throughout Slave to the System, Whiskey Falls, Alice Cooper. Black Star Riders, all that stuff into what he's doing now. And it's never sucked. It's always been top shelf rock and roll. And to have this guy on 3 times is a heavy honor. Quite an honor. So it's just one of those things. You don't take it lightly and you treat it with a lot of respect and delicacy, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We also just recorded one with Donnie Vai, who was original vocalist for Enough's Enough. And that's kind of going back as well. Like we saw Enough's Enough in 92 or 93? 93, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
On Extreme's 3 Sides to Every Story tour, which was out at the Mohawk Park in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I wish they still did shows out there. That was a blast.
Well, they still should. I don't know what the damn problem is.
Yeah, it's like the best place in this area for large outdoor shows. So at least in Tulsa,
right?
Still, had a talk with Donnie. He's had a lot of solo music come out in the past year, and he's got more coming here shortly. We talked about all that, so that one will be coming up soon as well. And then we've got at least 2 more scheduled here in the next less than a week.
Right, yeah.
So we'll be telling you about those next time. Lining them up and knocking them down, so to speak, I guess.
Hard at work.
Yeah. Yeah, we got pretty prolific there throughout April and May. And then kind of slowed down for a bit throughout the summer, just sticking to like 1 or so a week. But, we're getting kind of like what we just mentioned, 4. So we've got 4 in the can and a couple more coming. So
yeah, it's ramping up.
Yeah, that'll push us to about 295. So we'll have a few more before we bring our boys on Severmind.
Yeah,
back.
Severmind, we're gunning for you, boys. We're coming.
Yeah. 11 episodes away now.
It's gonna happen.
Or 10, I guess, because it's 289. Yeah. But yeah, so looking forward to all that stuff. We've also got a brand new video on YouTube. We did a review of the new album from Saul, Rises Equals that comes out October 23rd. Got an advance copy of that and had a chance to check it out. So check out our YouTube channel at The Thunder Underground so you can check out our thoughts on the brand new Soul. We've also recently did ones on Metallica and what?
Napalm Death.
Yeah, Napalm Death, and did one on Havoc a couple months ago. So
yeah,
follow. That's at The Thunder Underground. Subscribe, all that stuff. What else we got?
I got something.
All right.
Well, first I got
Crack the beer. Yeah.
Just the one thing, which is, a pretty, broad, we all know, and, whatever. But you have to mention it, is the whole AC/DC tease.
Oh, yeah.
So that's coming. And there you go. They tease it on their socials. So moving on.
Well, no, yeah, if you hadn't
it's
seen...
just, you feel like you have to mention it.
Yeah. It's like one of the biggest bands of all time, and it falls right into the category of hard rock and heavy metal that we talk about here.
Right.
If you hadn't seen it, they released a short little clip that just shows the lightning bolt in the middle of their logo.
Yeah.
Just kind of flashing, and it's
flickering,
not even...
neon,
like
whatever.
It's getting ready to come on because they're coming back. And yeah, they've got a full album coming October 30th with Axl Rose on vocals.
Shit.
And Chris Slade on drums. It's going to be great.
You wish.
Dave Navarro on rhythm guitar.
Oh my god.
I don't even know who the fucking bassist is. Probably Rod Diaz. He does everything these days. For real though, we know, like there's been pictures released, and, not released. Secretly released, I guess. Of that Brian Johnson and Phil Rudd are a part of this, and hopefully, like we talked about before we hit record, hopefully Cliff Williams is a part of it too. Because then you'll basically have the entire, second era lineup minus, of course, Malcolm. And they've got Stevie Young, who's a family member of Malcolm and Angus in there anyway. So that's kind of a great fill-in for Malcolm. And yeah, I'm really looking forward. I mean, you can't ever go wrong with new AC/DC. You know what you're going to get, and it's always solid.
Even if it's not as good as you thought, it's still amazing.
Yeah, that's right. And something else I mentioned when I was talking to you about it earlier is I hope there's one song on the album that features Axl Rose on vocals.
Oh, guess what? That's not going to happen.
You never know.
Okay. I'll let you
because
live in that world.
When you really think about it, AC/DC is one of those bands that they don't need any promotion. They can say, we got an album coming out tomorrow. Sure, it's not 1998. It's not going to sell 5 million copies, but it'll push enough copies. They can go on tour in the next year or two when that's possible without a single bit of promotion.
Right.
But if they released an album and it had a song with Axl Rose, either on vocals or sharing vocals with Brian Johnson, you realize how much extra press that would get them just
quite a bit
without them even trying. So, hey, that's my thoughts. And also the fact that I love Guns N' Roses and AC/DC, so. Anyway, anything else going on in the world? Oh, one more thing. We talked about, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, when the Tulsa Music Stream had Phil Lewis on.
Oh, yeah.
They just had Lita Ford on.
And Blabbermouth picked it up too, so congrats. Yeah. They got Lita Ford, that's badass. We haven't got Lita Ford.
Right.
So, fucking kudos to those guys.
Yeah. That's excellent. Like I said, it got picked up on Blabbermouth from her talking about her new album. So if you haven't checked out Tulsa Music Stream, if you're not from this area, it's really cool. They've got a lot of people from our area, but like I said, we've also had on Phil Lewis, and so that's definitely worth checking out. Speaking of Blabbermouth, our episode with David Elfson from, 2 weeks ago, got picked up by Blabbermouth as well.
Badass.
Where he was talking about Dirk and his work on the new Megadeth album. So
right.
Check that one out. That was, of course, a high honor to have David Elfson back on here for a second time.
Of course.
But yeah, I guess let's get into the meat and potatoes of the episode. We've got Joe Cotela, who is the vocalist for DED, here in a good 30-minute talk, talking about everything that DED's got going on and some other stuff. If you're not familiar with DED, check them out. That's DED. There's no A in there. They kind of have a lot of people compare them to new metal, but they've got more than just that going on. So they're definitely a band you check out if you like some heavy music. But let's jump into this right now. Here's Joe Cotela from DED.
Oh, it's been awesome, man. I feel like it's almost like one of the best reactions from a song we've ever gotten. Honestly, it's been really good. It's been exciting. I've been seeing reviews on different podcasts and different things, whatever. Did like a live Instagram stuff with some people, and it's great, man. It was one of those songs that I was real proud of, and I had a feeling people were going to dig it, so it was cool. It was really exciting to put it out. You get excited about certain ones, and um, I can't wait to play that one live whenever we can do that. So, but yeah, it's been killer.
Like, was that the first song you guys had completed, or have you completed a lot of songs and that's the one you decided to lead with?
Well, we have our album is finished.
Okay.
So yeah, we released two other ones as well. And it's been a little bit. We've been kind of spacing them out and just releasing them a little bit spaced out, just trying to figure out how what to do in such a weird time. But it's been awesome.
Okay, so do you guys have a release date set, or are you just kind of playing it by ear right now?
We don't. Yeah, we're playing it by ear. It's it's just such a weird time again, and it's like if we just put the album out, then we don't know when we can tour again, all that kind of stuff. So, but we're talking about putting it out. We haven't released the details or the artwork or any of that kind of stuff yet. That's all there. It's all happening, but we just haven't released it yet. So we do have a music video and another single coming out in the near future, I would say. And I'm really hoping to kind of bundle all that information with that next song. But I still need to get kind of clearance for all that stuff. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, you guys are working with Kevin Churko on this. Like, what's it mean to work with someone with the pedigree that he has for this band, to move to the next step?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's it's weird because when you first work with them and the idea of working together and everything, it was you think of Oz, recording Ozzy, recording Disturbed and Papa Roach in this moment, all these huge bands and bands that we love, and you get in there and it was amazing, and he's just incredible, and he's so good at everything he does. He's a smart guy. He's a great person, a great family man, and just all these things. And I just respect him beyond so many things. And but beyond that, it's just such an honor to work with somebody that is just so talented and really allowed us to be ourselves, which is something that you never know if it's going to happen when you're going in with like a big producer, that kind of thing. It's like you really hope that they honor who you are as an artist as well, and he really did that, and it's so important. And so I really couldn't say enough about him. I just he's so knowledgeable about music, about music theory, and just he's just seen it all. I feel like from working on Def Leppard albums and Shania Twain all the way to Five Finger Death Punch and Dead and whoever else. So it's he's just, I don't know. I really couldn't say enough about him.
What do you think he brought to the band that might have been different from what you guys have done previously?
Yeah, so it's a different vibe. The first album we did, this is only our second album, but the first album we did with John Feldman, who's a bit more in the punk rock world, I guess, and he's a little just a bit more spontaneous, I think. And I think this time we were a little bit more meticulously thought out with things, which I see strengths in both, but it was nice, because we were recording there and then leaving and going on tour and then going back and recording there in Las Vegas. So it was kind of nice. We'd go and record and then we'd have some time to like listen to the music and really decide if it was the right thing or not. So it was really cool in that way. And that way we made things that we knew we would continue liking after that going forward. So, I think he brought, his mix, his vibe, which is why we went with one of the main reasons initially that we went with him, because his mixes are just huge and his tones are insane. And he definitely brought that for us. And, it's a wider, bigger sonic kind of sound. And I think that, it's still really heavy and all that kind of stuff, but it just has just like this different vibe and just bigger. And then I think he brought a lot of good melody and stuff, because we're more like definitely a little bit more on the more chaos driven kind of side of things. And I think kind of coupling the two together, the music theory with the kind of dissonance that we bring, I think it really made for a nice relationship.
Yeah, I noticed that in Parasite and Mannequinize that the sound compared to the debut album sounded just maybe a little bit fuller.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what we wanted, was just, that jump, from a lot of bands when, I guess maybe just growing up or whatever it is, I always liked the progress of the sonic sound as they grow, that kind of thing. And I think we accomplished that. So that's awesome that you heard that, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that, he lets you guys be yourself. And of course, the band's your baby, but like, are you open to outside input as far as anything goes, as far as your vocals or the sound of the music, that kind of thing?
Yeah. That's the thing is I'm all of us really are open to any ideas. Like, we like to try any idea. It's never like someone has an idea and you just shoot it down until you hear it. You don't know if you like it until you hear it, really, So it's, we tried a lot of different things. I mean, I went in there wanting to try different things. After touring for pretty much 3 years, 2.5 years on the first album and just playing those songs over and over and over again, I just, wanted to do some different things, especially with my voice. And, you think of how much you change in 2.5 years, just as a person. And so that happens, to us and with art and things like that. So, definitely still dead, but we wanted to try all kinds of different things. Kevin would try giving me different exercises and things while we're in the studio in the vocal booth, just trying to get me to choose my voice differently, open my diaphragm different ways, like just all kinds of really slight variances. And then we'd listen back and we'd find that the cool stuff in there. And in Parasite, in the verses, I tried a totally different style of vocal and that I'd never done before, and I just really liked it, and so we really wanted to not just completely duplicate the first album, but have it be, some sort of a growth and some sort of an extension of that and into, where we are today.
Well, you kind of mentioned it with the sonically and that kind of thing, but like, how do you feel this album progresses as far as musically from the debut?
I think it's a wider, broader, spectrum of sounds. I think the debut was definitely a bit more focused, especially even thematically. It was called Misanthrope, and it really is, that first album was really just kind of about my disappointment and distaste for humanity, I guess, especially at the time, and again, that we were writing a lot of those songs 4 or 5 years ago, and so I still love that album. I love every song on there, but it's just, you're in a new place and you want to express yourself in new ways. And so I think on this album, there still is that, that still is represented in a lot of ways, but at the same time, broaden the spectrum thematically with lyrics and I think sounds too. It wasn't quite as focused on a certain sound, which is I think what we were doing on the first one. There was a box we put ourselves in a little bit. And we did that to ourselves. And I think this time around that box existed, which is great because that's kind of the sound, I guess. But we ventured outside of that box a lot and hopefully just expanded on things. And it was gratifying and it feels good. And it feels like it opened more doors for the next album after this album, where we can do more things even. So it's exciting.
Do you have a favorite track off the album or the songs that haven't been released that people could look forward to?
Oh man. Yeah, I like a lot of them, but I know we're not really supposed to release track listing stuff yet.
Okay.
So but I love all three of the ones that are out: Parasite, Eyes Sewn Shut, Mannequin Idol. They're all I'm stoked on all of them, and then I'm stoked on the rest of them too. I can't wait to release more. And definitely the newest one that we have coming out with the new music video is a very, to me, a bit more of an intimate style song with the lyrics and things like that. And I'm really excited about that one. It's a little bit different, and that's exciting to me.
Well, you mentioned lyrics, and I kind of, I was looking through your Twitter feed the other day, and I noticed, you have a lot of, positive and uplifting messages, like, and that's kind of the opposite end of your lyric content, which is a little more intense.
Yeah.
Like, how do you, balance those two things? And like, is the lyric, like, kind of lyrics your way to like get the, the intensity out? And then, what you're saying on Twitter is more like your mind, I can't really.
Yeah. No,
thought process, I guess. Yeah.
I get where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. The thing is for me is I can find positivity, or I guess I don't even need to call it positivity, but worth. I can find worth in words that are negative and worth in words that are positive for me personally. Like how maybe horror movies are therapeutic to people in certain ways, that's a whole conversation, or how, just whatever it is. So to me, being super negative isn't always a negative thing. Now, like with the way the world is right now, with the pandemic and with the Black Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff, it feels like my duty as a human to be positive more so on my day to day with people that I know probably need some good vibes. And I think that that's more important really than like kind of being my stoic, artistic, dark, left of center self that I usually kind of am with people. I feel like it needs to be a bit more. That's just how I feel right now. I feel like I need to be positive for people, and in a way for myself too. I'm having good days and bad days just like everybody else. It's just such a weird thing. So I really do, and I do. I love. I love positivity, and then I love being super real about things. But I'm not really trying to portray that to people right now. Like I just feel like it needs to be good vibes. I feel like people need uplifting things right now. So that's what I'm trying to, I guess, focus myself on Twitter for right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you're writing lyrics, are you basing things off of like personal experiences, or do you ever pull from outside influence on that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think when you think of lyrics, when you think of anything really that you make, it all comes from your experiences, I guess. And that could be watching a movie, that could be watching the news. It all just gets kind of compiled and jumbled inside of your brain, your computer in there, or whatever that is, and it becomes a part of you in certain ways. Anything you see, you can't really unsee. And so it all goes in there and scrambles itself together. And so a lot of it really is on the new album, at least, but most of it really is a lot of a lot of my a lot of feelings when I write lyrics. I usually don't have like a mindset about what I'm going to write about. I usually just kind of like just kind of live in the moment and just say stuff, and then slowly, the song kind of comes together. And I'm not really necessarily consciously thinking about what I'm writing about. And then I usually end up taking a step back and looking down at the words and realizing like this is where I'm going, and then I'll just kind of go with it. And I feel like that's a true way to kind of express what's coming from my soul, from my brain, whenever I'm thinking about underneath the thinking mind. The thinking mind is a bit more imprisoned, I think, in a way, when the brain's by itself doing whatever it wants. So I try to come from the soul, from underneath the thinking mind, somewhere behind that. And it's experience, or it's just life in a million different ways. And so there's no right or wrong way. And I guess sometimes I will go to a place where I'll say something. I'll be like, I don't know if I should say that. I don't know if that's the best way to say it. And you might tweak it a little bit, but it's all from the gut.
Do you write lyrics like without music, or do you wait till you have like a riff idea or a song structure before you start doing that?
Yeah, no, it can go a million different ways. Sometimes I'll just be like driving in the car, listening to something, and you'll get an idea. Oftentimes maybe when you're listening to some good music, you'll get an idea, and it wouldn't be to rip that off, but you get the notes start bouncing around in your mind, and you kind of put something together, or yeah, you could be at the grocery store or whatever, and you get this cool idea. Maybe it's a riff rhythm, maybe it's a beat, maybe it's a lyric or a melody, and you put that down, and then yeah, if you have the vocals first, then you have to go and find the right guitar notes for it, and or if you have like the guitar thing first, and that's always cool too, because when the guys like make a demo for me, it's the songs there, it kind of creates an environment for me to try to live inside, and it makes you feel a certain way, and it pulls ideas and moods out of you. So yeah, there's no certain way it happens. It happens a million different ways, and that's exciting to me. I like that it happens. I feel like that might get a little redundant if it was always the same process, so it keeps it exciting. That's one of my favorite things about music is the creation and how exciting that is when something kind of comes together.
Yeah. Well, keeping your voice in shape whenever you're not touring, like how have you been doing that? Like, especially like this year, because what's it been, 6 months probably since you've played a show?
We did a Europe tour with Wage War and Thornhill through January, and then we did Shiprocked in February, and that was it. And then we got home, and then it was quarantine, so it was crazy. We got home just in time from all that stuff, and I mean, just honestly, I don't think I'm in like tour shape ready vocals right now. You know what I mean? Like I'm not, but I would get there again if I, when the time is right. But I'm playing guitar and singing with Maria, and she has her keyboard, and we sing together and stuff. I'll play guitar, we'll sing together, and I've been doing little acoustic performances for radio stations, and going on Twitch and doing some of that stuff too. So it's there enough, but yeah, I'm definitely not like tour ready, but we usually jam a bunch and all that kind of thing to get your voice ready. And then once it's there, it's there. It's like a muscle, that you it's like riding a bike kind of like for me. And it's not really a lot of like work to do that. As I feel like my voice is cracking right now, which is awesome. But yeah, no, it's all good. It'll be fine. It'll be ready to go again.
Well, playing acoustic like that, does it, I mean, I don't know, is that something you've been doing your whole life, or does it feel weird whenever you're used to being on stage, like, in full on dead mode?
Right. No, yeah. No, I've always really, most of my life, I've always written on acoustic guitar. I've always felt like if it sounds good on an acoustic, then it'll sound good when it's all distorted and heavy and stuff. And it's a good way to dream, I think, with the acoustic. So yeah, I always write on acoustic. I know a lot of the other guys do the same thing when they're writing, and and then if it sounds heavy on acoustic, it's going to sound super heavy when it's on an electric guitar as well. So, and there's no, like I said, no right or wrong way, but yeah, I've always loved acoustic. I've always loved just kind of sitting by myself super late into the night and just jamming and getting lost in it. It's one of my favorite things.
I know you worked on a track within this moment, but you mentioned playing, acoustic and her on piano. Like, is that something we could ever get any kind of collaboration from you guys in that area?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, we've talked about that too, and we even talked about doing that song, Hunting Grounds, that I did with them. And we've been playing that a little bit ourselves and stuff. So we'll see. If the time is right for that, then we will. And again, it's just like not forcing anything. If it organically happens, and cool. And we're just kind of doing it for fun and to keep, like you're saying, just to kind of keep ourselves in the mode of singing and whatnot. And, we're here together, and it's awesome to be creative together. And so you never know. Yeah.
Outside of promoting the new album and the new single and everything, like, how have you been spending your personal time during the pandemic?
Yeah, just like probably pretty similarly to most everybody else. It's like trying to cook good food and trying to exercise, trying to not lose ourselves in it, going hiking. Been going up into the mountains and hiking on like waterfalls and stuff, which has been pretty awesome. And then of course binge watching things. We've been watching The Boys on Prime. Have you seen that?
No, several people have told me to. I just I haven't done it yet.
Oh, I mean, it is really. I think it's just a really special show. It's very, I don't know, very intelligently done, I think, and very unique. Something I've never seen. So yeah, we've been watching The Boys. I think we're all caught up on that as of last night. Watching. What else are we watching? That there's that new Ridley Scott show that's out. Raised by Wolves, which is so dope. Definitely some huge like alien vibes on that, and there's a bunch of other shows. Watching a lot of shows, whatever. And playing music. We've been working on like some different variations of songs. So we got a studio set up now that we're so excited about, and Maria's been recording some stuff as well, and for different things. And so it's just cool, just staying busy and just staying inspired, and then really trying to take time to call family as much as we can and be with family, and take this time because definitely for myself, definitely for Maria, both, like just touring so much, you don't really have time to stop and really like think about things in the sense of like really having that time to be home and really having that time to call whoever you want and all that kind of stuff. So it's been really nice. It's been a good step back, and stop and smell the roses type thing. And in that way, obviously it's terrible that all these terrible things are happening in the world, but as far as for myself, it's good to slow down. I'm enjoying that.
Yeah. I think for newer bands such as DED that it's kind of hard to put a full stop on things, but on the same time, on the personal level, it's kind of a blessing in disguise as far as getting, like you said, experience things a little bit different than you would be if you guys were out on tour all summer.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're right, and that's like one of the things too is kind of the whole last year was recording and then going on tour, and then recording and going on tour, and that was all happening because we wanted to keep the momentum going, like you're saying, because momentum is just like priceless. You can't get momentum back, and so we really put ourselves through the ringer to keep the momentum going, to be touring and be in front of people simultaneously with recording, and it was difficult. And then after all that work and keeping that going and having like, we're supposed to go out then after that Wage War tour, we were supposed to go out with the Spellman and Black Veil Brides, and it was going to keep, it was going to flow seamlessly. And then, all this happened, and then you're like, oh, there goes that momentum, and, but, not to say it wasn't worth it. And, we staying busy was good. I think it was good for us. And, but it really, it was taxing. The last 3 years was really taxing. We'd never toured like that before in any band we'd been in before, and going to Europe twice and all that kind of stuff, and then touring the United States a handful of times. So there is a part of me that really enjoys the slowing down, just like, the personal human side of me does. But then, I definitely miss playing shows. Like no words can describe how much I want to play a show right now. It's strange. It's a, some sort of a weird limbo we're in right now. So it's crazy.
Right. You mentioned the positivity, during these times like the pandemic and division and protest and everything. Like, how important do you feel new music is during a time like this?
Well, right, and that's what it is. Is like that's why I feel like it's cool to it'd be cool to start releasing to release our album, because I feel like it would be very positive for a lot of people, because I know it is for me. Just being a human. I know when bands that I'm listening to, or even new bands that I find, because I'm doing a lot of that right now. I really have a lot of time to listen to a lot of new music that's coming out, and it's nice for me. It's really nice for if I find something that's awesome that I can work out to, or just something that we can chill to, or whatever it is. So it's nice to kind of have that escape into new music. I really enjoyed, I just listened to that new Manson album. I really, really enjoyed that. It's got some really heavy, like David Bowie vibes in it. And, a handful of different things that's just off the top of my head. But so it's, I think it is important to be releasing music. And I guess we're doing it a little bit more spaced out, but still releasing music. And hopefully it is making that positive impact in that sense. And we're going to continue to do that. And I'm trying to push to to release the album details, get the rest of the music out. But like I said, we just released Parasite a couple weeks ago. We're gonna have a new song come out, and a new music video come out, and so there's something cool to that, with being where we are now in the future and the way people are digesting music. There's something cool to spacing the music out too, and I enjoy that as well, because you're not getting it all in one shot. You can kind of digest it as one song, and not really like when you get a full album, it's like you hear 12 songs. You're like, okay, cool. I really liked, track 2, 5, and 6 or whatever. And, and then you don't really hear the rest of the song sometimes. And so in a way it's cool to release it individually so people can really just focus on that one idea.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the band Ego Kill Talent?
I am.
Yeah. Like they had their
really
album
cool.
ready like earlier in the year, and they decided to split it up into 3 EPs and then put the full album out next year after the EPs have all been out, which I thought was kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. See, like that kind of stuff is cool. Like I know I think John Mayer did that on his last album too. He did like 2 different EPs, so, and then everybody's just doing things different ways. And so I think that's cool, man. Yeah. And those guys are cool. They got like a cool, almost like a Foo Fighters kind of vibe to them, like an alternative kind of thing, like Foles and something. It's really cool. I like them a lot.
Yeah. Well, I know the influence question you've probably been asked a billion times, but like as far as you pinpoint down to 1 or 2 people that made you want to be a vocalist?
I don't know that I necessarily wanted to be a vocalist. I don't think that was really necessarily ever a thought. I'm trying to think back right now. I more so was just inspired to want to pretty. It sounds silly, but I just wanted to rock, I guess. I wanted to. It just sounds so dumb saying it, but as a kid, I'm thinking back on my mentality. When I think back, I think the two most that stand out to the ones that stand out to me most are Nirvana and Korn. I think those are the two that really made me want to get a guitar and write riffs and write songs, just be creative. And I just thought, at the time they were just too cool. They were just so cool. And I just wanted to have friends and hang out and make music like that and be a part of a culture. And, I think it was more all that kind of stuff. I don't think it was just, I want to sing and I want to, emote and, it was never really anything like that. It was more just, I wanted to be a part of a culture. I wanted to make a culture. I wanted to be loud. I wanted to be abrasive, So I would say Nirvana and Korn are the two that really, really put me there. And then, some of my favorite lyricists, like Zach De La Rocha from Rage, Bob Dylan is one of my favorite lyricists of all time. I mean, Bob Marley, I'm a huge fan. So that's the thing is I like so many things, but I would say the reason I started a band and got a guitar and started making music, and I would say Korn and Nirvana are the two that were huge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Korn, I mean, you guys get labeled new metal a lot. Does that bug you? Because I know sometimes when people get labeled things that have kind of from the past or whatever, it kind of hits you either way. I mean, are you cool with that label?
I'm cool with whatever, because people are always gonna kind of put you in a box. I even do it with other bands too. I'll be like, oh yeah, they're kind of like this and this and this, and it's just a way to kind of give people an idea of what your band is like. So I'm okay with it. I think for us, it's a little. I think it discredits us a little bit. I feel like we're not just a new metal band. I think there's a lot more influences in it. I think it's its own thing. But it's okay. People are going to do what they're going to do.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, kind of a final question for you. It might be kind of a dumb question, but I've also got a decent sized beard. And have you found a mask that doesn't leave indentation in your beard?
That's awesome. The struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's terrible too, because underneath the mask, my beard gets all pushed in my nose and my mouth and all, it all over the place. And I have, I haven't. I've been using just those blue ones, and those seem to be the most, forgiving, I guess, and all the masks that I've tried, just those kind of standard blue ones from CVS or whatever. But that's an awesome question. And I trim my beard a little bit too, actually, just because of whatever. But so it hasn't been quite as bad as it was. It was pretty ferocious for a while there, and it was terrible wearing a mask. So I've attacked it from both angles, and it's not so bad now.
Yeah, I haven't tried those those standard blue ones, so maybe that's been my issue.
Yeah. Like I said, they're just a little bit chiller. Like they move a little bit more, but I don't know if they're as effective. We had the really solid, like the real, whatever they're called, N14 or whatever, super crazy ones in the beginning, and those were pretty uncomfortable. But apparently they did a good job, and we didn't get sick. So.
Right. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time with me today.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate you very much. Well, have an awesome day, and yeah, man, thanks for having me on again. Appreciate you.
There you go, Joe Cotela of DED. A huge thank you to Tim from Atom Splitter PR, and of course, a massive thank you to Joe for taking some time out there to talk to me about everything DED's got going on. Looking forward to their next album coming out. If you haven't heard the music they've released recently, they've had, I think, 3 songs come out here in the past 4 or 5 months. So definitely check that out. Like I said, if you like your stuff hard and heavy, DED's a good band to check out if you have not. But I'm sure you have if you're listening, because they've kind of blown up on the scene here in the past couple years. They've been all over the festival scene and making a name for themselves. And we kind of talked about, what his thoughts were on how the pandemic kind of kills momentum, especially for a band like that who was really kind of starting to peak.
Yeah, and then, they were everywhere. And there's a lot of bands that were like that, and then nothing. Yeah. And
so you got to wonder, like, if there's going to be a build-back process, or if they can just, like, once shit happens, if they'll still be there. I mean, that's kind of hard. That's kind of a weird scenario everyone's ever really been in,
Right. We're going to find out sooner or later, aren't we? Yeah.
Another band kind of in that situation was Saul, kind of the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I mentioned up front, check out our YouTube channel. And, hey, keep listening to this podcast. You never know, you might hear someone from Saul on here.
Maybe.
You
just don't know.
It's possible. But speaking of that, if this is your first time listening, we appreciate it. We've got 288 previous episodes you can check out. Like we said, David Elfson from Megadeth's been on here a couple times. We've had on guys from Killswitch Engage, Clutch, Corrosion and Conformity, Prong, Typo Negative, Shinedown, Life of Agony, Warrant, Europe, Great White, Tesla, Kiss, Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard even.
Yeah, Def Leppard, yeah, fucking A.
Vivian Campbell.
COC, Crowbar.
Yeah.
I Hate God.
Yep. Superjoint, Sons of Texas.
Battlecross.
Yeah. Avatar. So just dig through there. There's going to be something that there's going to be an artist you dig in there somewhere, I promise. You can find us most everywhere podcasts are heard. Spotify, SoundCloud. We've got stuff on YouTube separate from the podcast. Subscribe at The Thunder Underground. Follow us on all the socials. TheThunderUnderground.com is our website. You can find all the socials there, so like and follow. Read some reviews on there. All that great stuff. Anything you see, like, comment, share. It helps out as well. All right. Once again, a huge thank you to Joe Cotela of DED, Sunset Tattoo, Med Farm, DEB Concerts, and Hell Hot Hot Sauce. And until next time.
I just started to shoot you a text or whatever, so I don't know, jump on videos and stuff. I never know. I don't know what everybody's doing, so it's all good. But that's good for me because I'm just waking up, so I look like shit right now. So
no problem.
Cool,
whenever I was first using Skype, I didn't realize you could turn the video off, and sometimes we'd call people and we would be on video and they wouldn't be, and I felt kind of stupid.
Right. It's all good though, man. It's all good.
Thunder Underground, y'all.